Hey everybody, welcome to the Studio Life. We're going to talk about my flower explosion.
Here we go!
We're asked all the time how we do things like this. This is one of my favorite things to do. How do you shoot this? This is shot at a 1/4 millionth of a second. And so you ask, well, how do you shoot a 1/4 millionth of a second? What does it mean to shoot at a particular speed? And the answer is normally that you open the shutter for that much time and you shoot. If you want 1,000th of a second, dial it in until it says 1,000th of a second. If you want 1/25th of a second or 1/10th of a second or a second or 3 seconds or whatever, dial it in and that's what you get. Most cameras historically could go to a 30 seconds or an 8,000th. On the other side, the mirrorless camera, especially now the latest round of mirrorless cameras, can go beyond even an 8,000th of a second. In electronic shutter mode, in some cases, you can get to a 30,000th of a second or even faster. But how do you shoot a 1/4 millionth of a second or faster? Because we do that. We've shot shots over here at 1/1000th of a second. It turns the way you shoot on its head. You don't think about shutter speed as much as you think about the duration the light is hitting the sensor. If you're shooting in pitch black, then when you look at that picture later, what color is it going to be? Pitch black, no light hit the sensor. If you then turn on the lights for 1 second on a 30-second exposure, what's the length of that exposure? Well, it's technically 1 second. That's the only time the light switch was on. A shot like this is handled by keeping the light duration to a 1/4 millionth of a second. It's the opposite of the way you think. And so how long is the shutter exposure? Is it a 1/4 millionth of a second? No. An 8,000th of a second? No. It's not long enough in order to allow us the time to turn the light on and off. This particular shot has a 5-second exposure. This is a 2 to 3 person team. What we did was we would freeze the flower, turn out the lights, lift the flower into position, fire, triggering the lights, close the shutter, and then check out the exposure. So the next thing you might be asking is, how did we know when to fire the lights? And that we use triggers. Now, we here in the studio have a lot of different triggers. In this case, we did not use a vibration trigger or a sound trigger because it wasn't a real gun. It was a pellet gun. We didn't have enough sound in order to try to build a timeline based on the sound. In this case, we actually used a device that had 2 little light optics that would sense the projectile going over those 2 lights. It would calculate its speed, and then we can say, we want you to fire the flash 2 times or 3 times or 1.8 times the distance of that farther out. So we were able to very carefully dial in the point in the projectile's life when the lights would pop. And that's how we did it. So it gave us some reliability on when we were working, because you can't just manually hit a button at a 1/4 millionth of a second. You really do need some type of assistance, or it is truly random. And for us, it was not random. It was over and over and over again until we got the look we wanted to do this. And so we're thrilled. I think we're one of the only studios that has a device that gets us to a 2 millionth of a second. Or we'll show you some of our actual bullet photos, the 44 Magnum stuff. But for right now, we're just shooting beautiful, harmless, innocent flowers, liquid nitrogen, some good timing, and really, really nice pictures. So that's it. That's us here at Manhattan Beach Studios. And let me get ready here on the splash screen. We love it when you say hi. We love it when you subscribe. We love it when you ask questions. Don't hesitate, and we'll talk to you soon.